Yeah, I just want to welcome everybody and thank you for your patience. So we're excited to have Derek Zelenka coming up to talk with us on Blues Talk, and he'll also, give us a little sample of his music with it. But so I'll just go ahead and introduce you, Derek, and you can just tell us a little bit about yourself and about your passion.
Welcome,
Okay.
Derek.
Hello. I've been dying to talk about guitars with people. Um,
You want to talk a little bit about how you got started
yeah.
in your career, in your
Yeah,
work?
so I didn't plan on doing this kind of thing. I was going to I was going to a real college for a while, and then this friend of mine told me about this school in Minnesota that taught you how to build guitars and violins, and it sounded pretty cool. So I went and checked it out with him. He was going to check out the campus and the school, and I went with him, just tagged along. And then I thought, wow, that seemed really interesting to me. So I ended up enrolling in that school and really enjoying the classes. And then I found a job when that ended, and in New Mexico at a guitar and violin shop, and I really enjoyed that.
What was it like going to Luthier school? Like, how long was the program?
Um, it's a 1 year full. I think I went 12 months.
Okay.
I think it's like one of the only schools in the country. Maybe it's the longest program. One of the only accredited schools. And I
Okay.
thought maybe I'd build a couple guitars and then get a real job. But um, I fell in love with it. I would be in the lab or whatever in the workshop, and I would never look at the clock. I would be there all day, and I just loved it. And I made some guitars at the school, and then I went to New Mexico, and that is a tough place to be a luthier or anyone that works with wood, because it's so dry,
Oh yeah.
high elevation, and low moisture. And I saw some I saw some things with instruments that I've never seen since, because it's a very high desert climate. So you get good at doing repair work in an environment like that. So I feel like I kind of cut my teeth there as a luthier repairman. And then I had an opportunity to meet George Gruen at a museum in South Dakota. So I went and found George Gruen in the bathroom. Everyone wanted to talk to him, so I had to find a chance to to get to him one on one. So I followed him in the bathroom, and I asked him if he needed a luthier, if he was looking for anyone, and he said yes. And he asked me to come down to Nashville, and I went down to Nashville with my dad. We drove
That
down.
must have that must have taken some guts to follow somebody into the bathroom and ask that kind of question. Honestly,
Can I have a job?
like if you did that to most people, especially anyone who has any kind of like public image, they would, you know,
Yeah,
be very get out of my face, or want to punch you or
yeah,
whatever. So
yeah.
kudos to that.
It was an intimate moment for sure. And so I went down to Nashville. I don't even remember like filling out an application or anything. I think I just my application was, can you take apart this old Martin guitar? and I did, and he said, okay, he offered me a job there, and I moved to Nashville, and I worked at this great guitar shop. I mean, it was, and the time that I was there was a pretty amazing time because the vintage guitar market was absolutely booming, and
Like what time frame is this? Is like early 90s?
no, the guitar market was really booming like 2006, 2007.
Okay.
Um, Let me show you this thing. So these guys, I don't know if you guys know this. This is like this vintage guitar price guide. These guys do this sort of aggregate guitar. They take like 42 of the most, collectible guitars
Hmm.
and chart like the value. So you can see like this chart. And right,
Oh,
like
wow.
I started working there like around here, and so it was really crazy. Like I was, seeing guitars that that most people would never see, that I had never seen before. Very valuable guitars, um, and I was trusted to be around these guitars to work on them. And although I felt confident in my like luthier skills, I was introduced to this thing, which is a black light, UV light, and every guitar that would come into the shop would immediately go into this closet that we had, and you would use this light to inspect like the surface of the guitar to see if it had been, altered or refinished or any repairs had ever been done to it.
So you can see where there's like if the nitro has been nicked and it's been patched, you can see
Yeah.
that with a black light.
And so that was new to me, and I quickly, I was interested in that, and then of course I started to learn about all the fraud. I'm sorry, all the fraud and all the fake, all the things that people would do to try to, sidestep that UV light, and including people that used to work at Groons, and it was it wasn't really a guitar shop. It was like a high end art dealership, which was also an appraisal shop. I mean, there's not a lot of places that sell you something that they also appraise themselves. Usually there's a third party involved with appraising something that is, like a house or fine art or something. But
What do you think's the most like valuable or collectible instrument you've ever had in your hands?
I mean, it wasn't uncommon to have a $300,000-$400,000 instrument on my bench. Um,
That wouldn't make me nervous.
people that it was there. Like I said, that the market was booming at that time, and there was a frenzy going on. People, I almost every other day, I would see a table with a pile of cash that somebody brought in that was stuffed inside of an amplifier, and it was pretty crazy. And people were finding things under their bed that they all of a sudden it was a 57 gold top that was worth $200,000 that they didn't even know about. It was pretty cool to see the people's reactions,
Yeah.
to hearing this news because I was right there. I could see them learning this, and it was a crazy time. And aside from all that, I was working in a shop with like 8, maybe 9 other luthiers. And it was an open shop. You could see everybody, see what they're working on. You know, you were sharing your thoughts on what should I do here. You know, what you were sharing ideas. You were watching everybody, so you were just absorbing. I was absorbing all this information, um, and I just loved it. I loved everything about it. It was such a amazing experience.
Yeah, I was checking out your Facebook page earlier and saw a bunch of pictures with Trey Anastasio and
Yeah.
Warren Haynes and Jack Pearson, who's one of my favorite guitar players ever. Jack Pearson is phenomenal.
Yeah, not to mention all the people that would come in,
My goodness.
all the musicians, celebrities. You know, when we were downtown Nashville, we were right next to the Ryman, so whoever was playing at the Ryman would come in. So every day there was multiple, you know, guitar heroes and abstract celebrity actors, whatever that would be in there, and it was always always made for a fun day at work.
And yeah, you can't get like starstruck and silly like while you're at work all the time. So you're like, you have to play it off like, oh, whatever.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just Willie Nelson. He wants me to work on Trigger, whatever.
yeah,
Just another day.
yeah. I can't think of anybody that hadn't been through there while I was there, and um, it was just amazing. You know, the whole experience was amazing.
Did you get to go to some museums, guitar museums, or maybe people's homes that had particularly unusual or valued instruments?
Yeah, yeah. There was a couple times where somebody had died, and they wanted someone to come and assess their collection, and I got to go along for that and see them pulling guitars out from under the beds and stuff, and made me think about my guitars under my beds.
Uh,
Yeah. Um,
what would
yeah,
you say? What would you say to a young person that's thinking about becoming a luthier today? Is that a tough gig? Hard to get into? You just made the right connection at the right time?
yeah, that's a terrible career move for sure. Uh, um, if you fall in love with it, I guess follow it for sure. But
Yep.
it's not. Yeah, it's a tough gig. I made that choice after I left New Mexico. I thought, well, either need to go to Nashville or go to a big, if I want to keep doing this guitar work, or I need to change my career, change it up.
But if you find like pure joy in doing what you do, it doesn't matter if you can
Yeah,
make a living at it and like you're just happy
it's
with
true.
the work and you don't need hundreds of thousands of dollars and
Yeah,
cars and everything else, to be happy. So
it's true. I fell in love with
yeah.
it, and I love working on guitars, and I have lots of guitars, and I just they make me happy for some reason. I don't know.
So I like to see some of your guitars, but before that, I was wondering if you could just talk for a minute about the work that you did in Cuba.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I had met this woman actually who was a friend of Warren Haynes. You mentioned Warren Haynes, um, and I had restored this banjo for her that she had dropped, and it was in a million pieces, and she was very impressed. So she contacted me, asked me if I wanted to go to Cuba and work with this music school and their national orchestra program. For I don't know, it was like maybe a week or less than a week. I was like, yeah. It was around that time where the Cuban border was open to letting U.S. citizens in, and it was still difficult to get in. You had to have a reason to go, and I had to bring I bought a guitar and I had to donate it to them. It was a very difficult procedure, but I went to Havana and I went to this music school, where these repair guys were there with these ridiculous tools, all these like homemade tools, and they have no resources, and they're just, it was very it was it was tough to see these guys in these conditions, you know. And these guys would pull out a piece of wood, and we got this from the last hurricane. This house over here blew down their door. This is part of their door. I'm gonna make a guitar out of it, you know. And I had brought some tools of mine, and I just gave them all my tools. I was just like, here, you guys, take these tools, because they just don't have any. They don't have like a Lowe's or a Home Depot or an Ace Hardware. You know, I got a lot of joy out of. We had to have sort of a translator because I don't speak really good Spanish, you know. Um, but it was amazing. Cuba's a beautiful place.
Sounds humbling. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, those guys don't have like this luxury of having all these
Wow.
all these weird tools. I've got so many weird tools that, yeah. I still email those guys sometimes.
Cool. So you have some guitars there to show us?
Yeah,
Okay.
I pulled out some weird guitars. I love this guitar. You've probably seen this kind of guitar before.
Tricone resonator.
Yeah, this is like a really early one. I think this is the second one ever made, because you see these diamonds.
Wow.
This is like a prototype that National made, and as far as I can tell from the books that I have, this is the second one ever made, and it's, I just have the cover plate off. The cover plate is just goes right here. I just keep it off. It's German silver plated. It's really cool.
That's beautiful.
Wow.
Those original ones are made from the 1930s, correct?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think this is 27.
27.
Yeah, but it's in great shape. Um, I have I was playing this earlier. This is a cool guitar. Big guitar, the widest production guitar ever
Wow.
made.
Nice.
Yeah, it's kind of sexy, right?
Is that an old Gibson?
Now,
Neppy.
not the phone. It's a Emperor, 1946. Yeah,
Is that the kind of guitar like Wes Montgomery would play?
yeah, kind of like a rhythm guitar for a big band.
Yep.
Yeah. This is one of my favorite guitars. Oh, Martin.
Martin. Okay.
This was made right at the end of World War II.
Wow.
So it's a quirky guitar, because the people in the factories during the war, they all, a lot of people left the factories, so they hired, they just were building. Even the Gibsons are really quirky from that period, and they're kind of collectible because of that. You'll
So
see. I've seen Gibsons from that period that have like maple sides and mahogany back. Weird stuff, like weird combinations of stuff.
I know a lot of people associate vintage guitars with just high levels of craftsmanship and tone. You equate vintage gear to tone. It's not always the case, but everything was handmade, up to a certain point. But in your experience, you've handled all these instruments that are handmade and have great tone. But in today's market, what do you think is who's putting out good production stuff today?
Okay.
Trick question.
Guitar wise, or
Yeah. Yeah, your favorite solid body electric and your favorite acoustic.
oh man, it's hard to say. I don't like Taylor guitars, and I don't want to offend anybody by saying that. But,
No offense taken here.
um, it's tough because there's such great technology going on with people that are using CNC machines, and everyone's like torrefying the wood. You know what I'm talking about with torrefication.
I'm going to pretend that I know what that is and just say I don't, so everyone else who doesn't can understand.
You can take there's a thing that boat builders do with wood, where they take the wood and they put it into a chamber, an oven, and they remove all the oxygen, and then they heat it up like a fairly high temperature, and it doesn't start on fire because there's no oxygen in the chamber, and it sort of crystallizes some of the cellulose in the wood, and it really it gives the wood it gives it the same characteristics of like a vintage guitar, like an old piece of wood, like 100-year-old piece of wood.
So that's trying to fast forward the aging process,
Yeah.
kind of like kiln dried firewood.
Yeah, you'll see people call it toasted maple or toasted.
Mm-hmm.
But boat builders do it because it makes the wood waterproof, and it lets them bend the wood a little bit easier. My favorite guitar builders, God, I don't know. I don't know. My personal favorite guitar builder, electric, is the guy that made this guitar. It's a guy in Vermont. He's probably the greatest electric guitar builder in the business.
That looks
What's
like
his
a
name?
tray. Looks like a tray model, right?
Yeah, it's a Languedoc guitar, and I love this thing.
That's beautiful.
There's so many builders that make acoustic guitars. It's almost like the golden age of, you know, small shop custom guitar makers.
So, Derek, last time when you were, well, not last, we had talked before about when Roman was on and with his guitar. I'm going to add him on so you can
Okay.
talk with him.
Yeah, I'm right here. I'll grab the guitar.
You could flip your laptop down a little bit so there's not so much ceiling.
Oh, okay.
Just,
Is that better?
No, I didn't mean you. I was talking to Derek.
Oh.
But probably you too. No, I'm just teasing. So yeah, I guess you can hold your guitar up.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's a cool headstock.
Yeah, it's made by this guy named Todd Cambio, who's out of Madison, Wisconsin, and it's based off of like a like turn of the century flat top that a lot of the early jazz players would be playing on. But yeah, it's called a Fraulini.
Let me see.
Yeah, but it has spruce top, black walnut back and sides, maple neck, and he did this really beautiful
Yeah.
laminating. But yeah, my favorite thing is you can see how it goes all the way through the headstock.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Nice touch.
ladder braced. But
That's
yeah.
cool. How'd you find that guy? How'd you find that guitar?
Oh, he's just like the all of my favorite current like early blues players. They all play his guitars, just because he's been he's been making them for what, probably a bit over a decade. No, 15, 20 years. Wow. Okay. And yeah, really great sounding, like super like full and resonant, but great tone to it. So yeah.
Yeah, that black walnut's really a great wood. It's highly underrated.
Yeah. Yeah, ladder brace guitars can be great. Yeah,
Cool.
that's cool.
So, Derek, are you going to play some music for us tonight?
I wasn't really planning on it.
Okay. We can chat. It's whatever.
I'm better at talking about guitars.
But you can play some instrumental.
Yeah. This is one of those weird wartime Gibsons that it's a band of Gibsons, you know, it has that little only a Gibson is good enough. These guitars are so weird. I've got maybe 8 or 10 of these. They even wrote a couple books about these guitars. Let me see if I can find one.
You have 8 or 10 of these?
Yeah, that's what it said.
Yeah.
I think every guitar player that's listening right now is getting sick.
There's I've probably got maybe, I don't know, 8, yeah, probably 10 different like banners. This is an LG, but it's very unique because it's maple. What is tape is on here? It's maple, and I think it's the only one I've ever seen that's maple. And I remember George Brune saying it was the only one that he'd ever seen that was maple. So there's the book about Gibson from the early 40s that talks about how it was all women that were working there because all the men went to war, and the guitars they took on a different personality. A lot of people, they covet them because it was a unique time in history, and it was just, you know, they're great. They're made well. They're beautiful.
You're saying that the men didn't put as much time and care and love into building guitars?
I don't know. I think I've been to the Martin factory a couple times, and I've been to a lot of other factories, and there's a lot of women that build guitars, and I think they might be better luthiers. I think they have more patience, and they're better with their hands. And
That's a trick question. You don't have to answer that.
I think I don't know what the name of the book is. I don't see it on my shelf. It's like all about the women that worked at Gibson during World War II. I wish I could find it.
Have you ever had a chance to work with Leo Kottke or any of his instruments?
No, I've never met him. But he's, you know, he's one of my heroes. I lived kind of around Minneapolis for a few years, and
yeah,
my dad is a big fan. I think he introduced me to him. Yeah,
he's a Taylor guy.
yeah, he is. Yeah.
Do you have any other guitars you want to show us, or
Oh,
that pretty?
I'd have to move some furniture around.
Or did you have your banjo?
I did get it out.
Or do you want to play that, what you got in your hand?
The resonator.
Let me find it.
Derek, play your resonator, please.
This one? Let me go get my other one. Hold on.
Which one is it?
Gotta retune it. This one?
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, this is a.
Wow.
I got this from somebody. I don't know if this is a true story, but it's a good story. The guy that owned this for a long time worked on. He worked on a train. He worked in the caboose. He was like the brakeman. And he played this while he worked, and I like to believe the story because it really looks like.
Wow.
You know?
That's
Yeah,
gorgeous.
it's got a beautiful patina.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Got these weird like tuner buttons, like mismatched. It's a.
Wow.
Yeah. One of my favorite guitars. So there's two birthdays. There's two birthdays in the house, right?
yeah.
Oh,
Happy birthday.
I think for so Rachel would like to show a violin that you worked on.
Yeah.
Okay, I just gotta find her here.
so Derek, do you have kids?
No kids, no, just.
Are you looking to adopt?
I love kids. I've got
Okay.
dogs and guitars.
I know I'm a little old, but if you're looking somebody to pass these guitars on to, I'll clean my room, I swear.
I know. Recently, I was like, I told my wife, I was like, and she doesn't know anything about guitars, and I was like, I need to make you like a list of what I have, so you know what, in case I die or something happens to you.
So I'm gonna add Rachel on here.
Rachel.
Hi. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show this very well. So I came outside. It's pretty dark in my house, but
Oh, I remember that.
you remember this?
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a story behind it.
Yeah, I don't know. I took it all apart and fixed it up for you.
Do you play that, Rachel?
Good question. When Derek gave this to me, I took private lessons for 2 years and learned how to play. And then I had a child, so I took a hiatus from the lessons, and I'd like to meet people to play with. But Derek, tell us how old this one is. You remember?
I don't really. I think it's like probably 100 years old.
Yeah, I think it was.
Wow.
I think what you told me was it was one of those. I'm trying to read what it says inside. It's a really long Italian name.
There was a lot of violins made about 1920s, 1910s in Europe.
Rachel, where'd you go?
Right here.
So,
Oh, here we go.
Are you guys related?
I can flip my camera around. Sorry, guys. Here it is.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So, Rachel,
Yes.
are you guys related?
Yes. Yeah, Derek's my big brother.
All right. So Rachel's in San Diego, one end of one coast, and Derek's on the other side of the country. Yeah.
I was wondering, it's daylight there, so I'm a little jealous.
Yeah. Cool. What a great violin. 100 years old.
Yeah.
So it's got to have a lot of quality to it.
It sounds beautiful compared to, we have two other violins, and I got to say it has such a different sound.
Can you give us a little of that sound, or is it not like?
Oh, well, let me make sure it's tuned. Let me go try it out first.
Okay.
Hold on. You might want to come back to me.
Okay. So what do we have here?
Have you ever seen a logo like that?
Oh, wow.
Nope.
Doug Gibson?
Yeah, it's a
Michigan.
1907 Gibson. It's a little guitar. I just have never gotten around to putting it back together. But it's a cute little guitar.
Wow.
I'm almost there. I just haven't quite done it, but it's old as hell.
No frets?
Well, I haven't cut them in. I was going to have a friend of mine in Nashville use his pluck machine to cut the slots for me. A robot that cuts it perfect.
Yeah, I imagine doing that manually is prone to a lot of error.
Yeah, it's easy to have a robot do it nowadays, and but.
So what is the most like nightmare guitar you've ever worked on that you brought back to life?
Oh man, you know, in like 2010, Nashville had a terrible flood.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've heard about it, and I mean, almost every person that lives in Nashville has at least one guitar in their house. So it was like a guitar holocaust. It was insane. And I knew hundreds of people that had a storage unit down at this place where all these touring musicians would keep their gear, and they would all meet up and get on the bus and go on their tours and come back. So there was like 700 little storage units. They were right next to the river, and they were all flooded. So I had, so many clients that had 15 guitars that were just destroyed, because sitting in warm water for 3 days, like submerged, is not good for a guitar, as you can imagine. And that was the stuff I saw there. It was just I told a lot of people, just pick one guitar that means the most to you, and we'll fix it. It was terrible. It was a nightmare.
That's a shame.
So the flooded guitars and the water had like diesel fuel, raw sewage, gasoline, everything a flood brings in, it all had that, and it was just. I still smell that. Actually, I'm working on a guitar right now that was in that flood. I'll show you. This is a guitar that was in that flood. It belongs to a bluegrass guitar player named Brian Sutton. And you can see the back is off of it.
Wow.
And it's basically like a guitar kit that you have to rebuild, but it's worse because everything is warped and distorted and a nightmare. The whole center seam was opened up.
Mm.
It was a nightmare. It's a nightmare. It still smells. It still smells like Nashville did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, this is the second time you've joined us here on the Blues Jam, correct?
Yeah.
We love having you come by and share your stories and, showing us all these cool things.
And I love talking about
It's
this.
a pleasure.
Same here. Same here.
So, yeah, if anybody has any questions about guitar repairs, like come on to Zoom when we're finished